Welcome to another Last Fortress Underground video. This is Solimer, and in this video we're going to be talking about combat with your heroes, how it works, some things that are, I guess, what the meta is right now, what the meta is, however you want to say that, and why it's that way, and what do you need to do to make your formations better, and if there's any counters to it. So let's jump right in. So where do I want to start with? I guess let me show my formations real quick. So this is probably my best formation right here. Best heroes, best skills, everything, etc. So took me a while to get to this point, obviously. And not everyone's going to be this high, or they might be higher, depending on where you are, whether you're season 0, 1, 2, 3, and eventually some people are in 4, and who knows beyond that. But that's my first formation, my strongest. I use it for all sorts of things. I don't always have this formation specifically set up, though. Depending on what my objective is, I might move other heroes to other formations, kind of balance things out if I need to use multiple APCs, depending on what we're doing. My second formation is this one, and I'm not going to say it's the best formation at all. My heroes are not fully skilled out. They're not obviously all maxed out or anything. This is more of a, I guess, like an idea of what a formation should be. We'll talk about that a little bit more, about what this formation is meant to do. And then we start getting my leftovers, trying to mix and match things. So it's just kind of, I'll discuss this one too, but it's just kind of an idea as well with my leftovers. And then obviously my fourth formation is just whatever's left over, the best I got to do with that. So those are my formations. We'll start with the first one, and we'll talk about, I'll try to show an example of it too. So yeah, Kelly, Rebecca, Galland. I've got Lun and Alyssa, and Lun could be swapped out for Roland. Alyssa could be swapped out for another tank of some nature. So the key here is, let's go to the heroes and talk about them. Start with Kelly. She seems to be an easier one of the heroes with the advanced elite heroes that have the 5 skills. I maxed her out pretty quickly because I kept drawing her, which is great. We'll look at her skills here. So she deals the damage to one enemy, buffs, initiative, bonus damage, extra damage, and then she attacks the enemy with the lowest AGI and increasing their damage. So that is the key right there. The lowest AGI. We're going to look at Rebecca. She's another one. She's only a 4 skill hero. People probably get tons of her when they're pulling heroes, but she's very powerful. So she does damage to the enemy with the lowest AGI also. And then Galland, he's a season 1, starts in season 1. He's a very good hero. Look at his skills real quick. Damage to one enemy, weapon damage bonus, and aims at the target enemy with the lowest remaining hit point. Makes him take more damage, bonus damage. When they're killed, he gets another attack, dealing extra damage there. And then the front row heroes, where's Lun? There's he at. They don't matter as much. We'll get into what they're there for. But Lun, I like Lun because he does damage to a back row enemy, which will play into there. Roland, I talked about. People like him because he gains a shield. He gives a buff for Watchers. He recovers hit points as well, so it helps his survivability. He is a tank. There's that, and then of course I got Alyssa. She's maxed for me. Her skills are the important ones. I feel are maxed anyway. But she does a shield, and then she also heals with her special. So healing, back row damage, shields, extra survivability, more or less. I've also seen Jessie. She's another healer. she heals him there, and I feel like she puts a heal over time. Yeah, so this is the hot right there. So she also can be a substitute, depending on what you use. When we were at the formations, let's look here. So you can see up here on, oh, I tapped it and did that, perfect. So you can see this screen, based on how your formation is, you can get a faction bonus. Oops. So on the far right is if you have 5 of the same faction, you get a flat 20% bonus to attacks and hit points. If you have 4 with one other, or just 4, you get 15% flat. If you have 3 of one and 2 of another, and you guys can read all this, I'm not trying to do that, but you get 10% to the attacks and 15% hit points. And if you just have 3 of one, but 2 other randoms, or just 3 heroes, you get flat 10%. So as you go up, you get more bonus damage and more hit points. So a lot of people will use, because the formation is primarily Watcher-based, or at least heavily Watcher-based, you'll see a lot of people use 4 or 5 Watchers and not do, like I do, a mixed here. But that's mostly because my Laurel is not super strong right now. So eventually I might switch over. I do have formations saved where she's in there and it's just 5 Watchers, whatever. But for competitive purposes, when trying to take out other high-level players or doing arena and things of that nature, this is my formation. There's lots of variants people can do. Like I said, you can go 5 Watchers, 4 Watchers. I've got 3 Watchers. But they typically will include Kelly, Galland, Rebecca, or Laurel. At least I'm in Season 1, so there may be heroes down the road that other people may use. I'm not well-versed on them at all. Maybe later on one day when I get those heroes, can talk about them. But so Rebecca or Laurel for the back row. Front row, Roland, Lund are typical. If some people don't have them built up, so they only have one of the 2, and then they use some other tank maybe. They might use Jesse or Alyssa. So how this works is, let's go do an arena battle. Let's see who I got. Alright, I don't know. I think I can beat this person. So you can see my formation here. And obviously I out-level them quite a bit. They've got 5 Watchers, so they've got a 20% bonus to all their stuff. I only get 10% and a 15% hit point. So they've got a little bit of edge there, but I out-level them, and I will probably beat them because of that. So I'm just going to hit fight. We'll watch the battle as it goes. So Kelly hit Laurel. Galland hit Laurel because she was the lowest hit points. Kelly keeps hitting. Galland keeps hitting. And the specials are lighting up, we can see. So Kelly eliminated Laurel. Rebecca then shot, it looks like, Galland. They took out my Alyssa. Kelly took out their Galland. And I've got the edge. I have 2 front row and 1 back row. I've got 3 damage dealers. And Rebecca hits hard. So then their damage dealer's gone. So I've pretty much won this battle. We'll let it kind of go here. I don't really want to skip a bit. Maybe I'll just skip it here. Finish it off, so I'll skip it. We won. Great. So what was going on there? Let's go back to my heroes. And I hate these things I want to collect and get rid of. Okay. So when they were attacking, their Kelly, their Galland. So Galland's just going to hit the lowest attack person, or health person, sorry. So when you have heroes like Laurel or Kelly going before him potentially, or I think Laurel probably goes after him. Kelly normally goes first. Kelly's going to attack the lowest AGI person. So when that happens and Galland follows Kelly, well, she just attacks somebody, lowered their health. And, she's going to do more damage than the front row people. So he's going to follow her attack, basically, and attack the same person. And then Rebecca, whose special attacks the lowest AGI, those people are already half health, at the very least, even the good ones, and she's going to snipe them as well and hopefully kill them. Kelly also has her special to use, Galan's special. So you've got 3 people attacking the same person. Chances are, at the end of that entire cycle of them using their specials and all the basic attacks, they're going to kill at least that one hero. Hopefully you've killed more than that, because chances are they're going to be killing your heroes off too. So the way I've got my formation set up, start with Roland. You can see his AGI is 597. Lun, he's at 823. Big difference. And Alyssa, she's at 602. I've been thinking about switching to Roland because he does heal, shield, and he's got the lowest AGI. So what that's going to do is, between those 3, Lun's not going to be targeted by these specials. He's got too high of AGI, because he's a tank, but he's also max level, and I've got him fully geared. Roland has no, elite gear. He's just got the epic stuff, and these are not max level. So he's got really low AGI, especially for a tank. And it's not intentional. I think it's just because he's not maxed out and stuff. If we look at Kelly, she's at 715. That's really good, actually. Galand, 613. So he's pretty close to Roland and Alyssa. And then Rebecca is 643. That's actually half decent, too. So, but they have, you can see they've got pretty good gear, right? She's got mostly elite. She's full, but not all maxed. And he's half there. So they've got really good gear helping them get those AGI numbers up. And what this is doing is, whether I use Roland or Alyssa or both of them, this is causing their attacks by, if someone else had the same formation as me, they're going to be attacking my front row people instead of my back row people. My back row people in that last battle went for their back row people, their DPSers, and thus I was killing off their DPS. So I was bypassing the tanks, more or less. Jessie, I mentioned earlier as well, she can be used in the same capacity. She's 520 at even lower, but she's not a tank. I do have her in castle gear. I use castle gear on all my healers just because that 50% chance to reduce or 30% chance to reduce 50% damage, when it procs, it can be huge. It can be a game changer in a battle. If it procs a couple times, definitely is. But, it's only 30% chance, and I don't know haven't really tested with Tough Wall to see if it's better or worse or the other. I think we get that next season, season 2 maybe, I think. So we'll start looking at that next season. But so there's those factors. I talked about my Laurel, her not being maxed out. So her AGI is 540. She's lower. Roland was the only one lower than her. No, Roland's higher. So it was just Jessie. So with Laurel, if she was on my team, she would be the one targeted. And then, because she's not my strongest hero, she's going to die quickly to their DPSers. And then I've just lost one of my DPSers, and they're going to move to the next person. Which, if I had Roland or Alyssa out there, they would go for them. Or if I had Jessie out there, Jessie would go first because she's absolutely the lowest. But, so the key here is, with these heroes, in this formation, which I would say is the most popular amongst players, let's look at our arena and just see what everyone's using. You can see Watchers. You've got one with Wildlings, but they do have Kelly there. You've got another with Watchers and Rebecca. Watcher, that's me, I'm number 5. Watchers with some Vindicators, which Blanche is amazing for this as well. I don't have her very high because I haven't drawn her, but she's another one who could be slotted in there like that. You've got Watchers with some Wildlings. You've got a very strong Wildling formation, but that's not really the meta right now. And then more Watchers. So there's been this, and I don't know how it is in other seasons, but I imagine it's the same, right? Everyone is trying to, they're all using the same relative formation, same idea. So they recently released a couple heroes. Here's one of them. Her skills, tactical damage to deal 3x more damage to front row targets or targets without any allies in the front. And then extra damage stackable. And then this grievously wounded thing. I just got her the other day, actually. I don't have her maxed out. So she's kind of new. I talked about Blanche before. She attacks the back row, but she attacks front row. And here's the other new one right here. She does damage to front row enemies, makes them bleed, and then extra damage for her attack. So she's another one. And then Roger, who was already in the game, but he's season 1. Is he a front row guy? No, he's not a front row guy. Who is a front row guy? I think maybe it's this guy, Baron. No. I thought there was another guy who was front row. Maybe not. But nonetheless, those 2 new heroes specifically target front row characters. I feel like Baron, he doesn't target the front row, but he always, I don't think his skills say he does, but he always just hits the front row, it seems like. That's why I thought maybe he was. And then Roger might be the same way. He just hits depending on where they sit, they hit one of the front row characters, and I feel like they just use their abilities in the front row. I don't think it's random. It doesn't seem random. Like Kin, his says it's random. Yes, it says random enemy target. Anyhow, so there's some heroes, though. If you build these formations, let me go now to my second formation I said I'd touch on. These characters attack their designated front row person, right? So Roger, this new chick here, Chihiro, and I got Benson because I wanted my bonus. I couldn't do a 3-2, so I did a 4-1. I didn't have the other Minutemen, the other girl that is red that I have. I don't know her name yet. Her Kobai Kawa. So once I get her up, she's going to slot in there, in my opinion. I don't know how well this formation really does. I mean, it's strong enough to do most of my basic things, mutant zombie, mop-ups, etc. It does all the basic stuff. But in actual combat, I don't know how it fares. I haven't done a ton with it. I missed this past weekend's server war. But nonetheless, they're supposed to attack the front row heroes, right? And they're gonna do bonus damage. They're supposed to be able to go right through them. So if we look, you can see on this top formation, he's got a level 68 Roland, 75 Lund, but he's got level 100 damage dealers. Absolutely devastating. But because of that, because they're so low level, their agility is low, and if you bring the same formation against him, guess what? You're attacking his tanks. The second guy, same deal. Level 66, level 59. The Wildling formation, it's going to be a little different. This one, you got a level 50 Lund, 75 Roland. With me on my arena defense, I've got Roland there, and I've got Alyssa. Even though she's level 85, I've got her agility set lower. So you can see, though, people in the know, you can see this guy right here, level 65 Roland. So they are trying to force you to attack their front row heroes while they kill off your back row. So that's what's going on in the game. a lot of people use that formation. I'm suspecting eventually I'll have the heroes leveled up to where they're equal to those other heroes, where I can actually do a good test. If I come across someone in arena who's kind of low, maybe I'll lower my arena next week just to be able to try it. But these other heroes that attack front row, the idea is that they're going to be able to burn through those front row heroes, and then you'll be on the back row. And they burn through them so fast that they haven't killed off your back row heroes yet, and you still have your front row heroes. Of course, at the same time, if you use the same strategy of making them attack your front row heroes while you're burning through their front row heroes, the idea is that they'll still be attacking your front row heroes while you're on their back row heroes. So I think that's supposed to be the counter, but I haven't seen it used. I don't have the heroes leveled up to really try that. Either this weekend, next to this coming weekend, if we have another cross server war, or an arena, maybe I'll drop my defense down so I can fall and get some people that have heroes of similar level, so I can do a fair test. We'll see how well that works out. I think that's what their intentions are with some of these new heroes, is to be able to do that. I've got in this formation Jessie there because she's low AGI, so they can burn her down, and trying to give my formation time to burn their front row down, and then go from there. So it's it's 1.6 million CP, but it's, I don't know how the formation really works. I haven't really tested it a whole bunch. In PvP, in arena, it's hard because I need to use my top formation because that's the level of heroes I'm facing. So we'll give it some more testing. I've got this formation here. Marlin and Laurel both attack the back row. Marlin puts like a poison on the back row heroes, and Laurel attacks all three back row. Kin, he's one of my better heroes. He's maxed out. His skills aren't quite maxed out, but his level of ascension is and whatnot. He attacks 3 targets randomly, so he can help while the back row's weakened. If he procs on them, he can potentially kill one off. He does very well with that. So the hope there is, it's not quite the first formation, obviously, but hopefully they're strong enough to weaken the back row and kill off some of the damage dealers. I'm not saying this would win against this properly built this formation, but a lot of players, they don't understand the mechanics of the game, and they've just got their tanks full with the best gear on, because it makes sense that your tank should have the best gear on and most survivability. But because these characters have skills that are telling them to attack the lowest AGI, they're basically bypassing the tanks and going for the DPS, and it's just perhaps too strong of abilities when you put them all together. So I think they're trying to combat that and give a counter to it, perhaps. So hopefully that's the idea that they've put in with these new heroes, and hopefully they are actually pretty good, and that it actually works, because that would be really cool to have counters to other formations, and then you have to be strategic about when attacking people what they have versus what you have, because the faction bonus and the bonus of like Minutemen are strong against Vindicators, Watchers are strong against Minutemen, etc. Like those bonuses, they can help a little bit, but they don't tilt the battle. It's not the end all be all. So there is that. And then, like I said, my fourth formation is just my leftovers. I love Blanche. She can really do. She's like, let's look her up here. She's like Rebecca in my mind. Does she just do a random? She does a random back row enemy. Yeah. But she hits hard. When she's fully skilled up and high level, if she was where my Rebecca was at, to me, they both probably do. I feel like they would do similar damage. Rebecca's is targeting the lowest AGI. Blanche is a random back row, which isn't always great depending on how someone's back row is, but she does a ton of damage. And if they're not on her level, if they're just a notch below her, like, she can one-shot them. So she's pretty awesome in that regard. But for my fourth formation, she's just a red hero, and I've got 2 tanks, and then Baron. He's just attacking. He, like I said, he attacks like a front row. If I had another, I could move perhaps Braum and Baron over here, and then I'd have my then I'd have another person attacking the front row, and I'd have another tank. But then it leaves me with my fourth formation. Kind of sucks. So I didn't. I tried to balance that part out of it. Right now, I wanted to have. I have 1 really good formation, and then I've got 3 semi-good formations that are, they don't handle anything that any top players bring, but they can handle most average player things, for whatever I need. But these, so those are the 2 things, though, I just really wanted to talk about was why everyone's using the Watcher formation, some nature of the Watcher formation. Go back to Arena. Look at that. Obviously, there's other formations that can work. You can see this guy has Vindicators, and some of this might be their defense, and they're actually using Watchers on attack. Let's see if I can see what people attacked me with. That person's using Wildlings, Watchers. That person's using Wildlings with Kelly. They hit me 3 times. Watchers. That person hit me again with their formation. So there's some different variants you can use depending on the strength. Obviously, use your best heroes, but try to have some cohesiveness between your units where they work together. And when you get all the heroes that do work together, obviously that's going to be the best. When I first started playing, I had gotten... Let me go to my formation here. I was strong with Minutemen. I'd gotten a bunch of Boltons early on. Obviously, I had Rebecca. She was my first max level character. I didn't think much of Alyssa at first, but then someone who had, told me about her, and she was kind of my linchpin for making my Minutemen formation be somewhat strong. I had Braum. He was easy to level up. I had some Bensons. Who was my 5th? I don't know who my 5th was. Alyssa, Rebecca, Braum, Bolton, and Benson. That's my 5. I feel like I'm missing someone. I don't know. But, I had those 5, and I had a Minutemen formation, and it wasn't bad. I had that 20% bonus damage, but it's what I was strong in. And granted, Rebecca's a really strong character, especially early on, because she's not an advanced elite. She's just an elite hero. So, she was really high level, and I was leveling her up, and she did tons of damage. She carried the day for me mostly. My tanks weren't bad. Alyssa healed, which was great. But then as I started getting, as the season 0 went on, I was noticing I'm having a hard time in Arena and other things beating people, and everyone's using these Watchers. So my Kelly wasn't bad, so I started working on my Watchers and getting them leveled up, and I've done that, and now I've converted to this. And my Laurel is probably the only thing that's holding me back from going to a 5 Watcher formation. Just need to get her ascended a little bit more, or Galand ascended a few more times, then I can swap my my hero contract. I can swap it to Laurel and get her up. But nonetheless, work with what you have, and then if you want to switch to a certain type of formation, if it turns out that these new heroes in Minutemen are like the counter to the Watcher formation or something, then maybe start working on them in the background while keeping your first formation pretty decent. And eventually you'll get them all good enough where you can just switch over, and then you start using that as your main formation. Or if you like Wildlings, work on your wildlings. Lots of formations can work, but understanding the game mechanics is a big part of the game. And a lot of people do not understand the game mechanics, and there's not a lot of data out there that I know of that that really spells it out for everybody. It's not in game where you can see it. You kind of have to put in the time to research it, to understand it. And like I did with my heroes, Roland, he's only 70. His gear's not super high, but his AGI is nice and low. He can sit in my front row. Alyssa's AGI low. Lun, his is really high. I don't even think his armor. Yeah, that's not going to lower him enough. He's just really high. But he's max ascension. He's level 75. So maybe if I don't level him up, maybe when I get my stuff to 100 one day, then he'll be in proper range to be my frontline guy. I don't know. But he also attacks the back row, so he helps that cause of what my formation's trying to do, which is eliminate their damage dealers. So there is that. And once I get Laurel up more, she's not far off, then I just have to make sure her AGI gets higher. Oof. So low. Once I get her AGI higher, then she'll be protected by the likes of a Roland in the front row, who they'll have to kill off first. And he can be pretty tough because he shields and heals himself. So I just wanted to touch it, it's a long video, really. It's 30 minutes already, it looks like. So that's just some of the mechanics in the game, things to pay attention to. I didn't really touch on Vindicators or Wildlings much right now. I really feel like, currently anyway, they're not in the forefront. Obviously, any strong formation can win. There's a lot of other factors that go into battle. You've got, if I could hit that button, you've got research that impacts, obviously gear impacts heroes. I'm not sure how much other stuff impact. I guess APCs impact potentially when you're attacking other players. Whether you're attacking a player at a base or at a mine or something else. All sorts of factors can kick in, and just all has to be taken in consideration. If you're going against someone of equal, if everything else is equal except the heroes, then if you're higher level than them, then the idea is that you should win. But that doesn't always happen. I've lost to people who were lower levels, like 10 lower levels than me, not just 5. They were like 10 or maybe even 15 lowers on. I was baffled. Why did I lose that battle? Well, when I started looking into things, I started understanding how their formation was built, and I started to make mine better. And even then, when I did improve my stuff, I still would lose and until I fully grasped everything on it. So just trying to share the knowledge with everybody. Again, this is a really long video, and it's me mostly just talking and not showing you a whole lot other than my formations, an arena battle. But I appreciate your time. If you guys like the content, feel free to subscribe. You can like the video. If you guys want to leave comments, go ahead. But I just want to touch on it a little bit, put that knowledge out there. People can do their own research, look into some things. As I get better Wildlings and Vindicators, I'll touch on them a little bit more. But they don't seem to be as, I guess, overpowered currently as, say, the Watchers are, or how Rebecca or Blanche also interact with the Watchers. And hopefully the new thing with the Minutemen, hopefully those characters, those heroes, can become a counter to that formation to give people a chance to be able to win against that stuff. So we'll see what happens with time. If when my heroes get that high and I start doing stuff, or if I can lower my arena rank and face off against some other people, we can do some test battles with it and see how it works out. That would be fun. But yeah, thanks for your time. Hope this video is helpful. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.